Going to Japan was not high on my list, but it's definitely somewhere that you shouldn't miss.
Thank you for tuning into Hannah and Eric Go Birding, podcast by birders for birders.
I'm Hannah, and he's Eric.
And we created this podcast to share adventures, sometimes misadventures, and opinions that we have on different birding topics. We're definitely not experts, and anything that we discuss that might be controversial, I want you to remember their own opinions, and they might be different from yours.
Well, I feel like we have a whole bunch of news. The first one is very exciting for us here on the Oregon coast, is that our tufted puffins are back.
Yeah, well,
One.
At least one is back. Yesterday, on the 31st of March, Hannah and I, like the last 2 weeks of March or so, we basically go out every single morning and spend 20 to 30 minutes at the end of the street, scanning all across the whole ocean and looking at Haystack Rock, which is a big nesting colony, as big as they get. Relatively big nesting colony of tufted puffins. We scan around looking for tufted puffins, hoping to be the first people to see them for the season.
It's a dumb competitive thing.
Yeah, and we're never the first one to see it because we don't spend the whole day out there. There's a city program that's called Haystack Rock Awareness Program that they spend 4 hours during low tide out there every single day. So they're out there a lot. Somebody volunteering or working for that program is who ends up seeing them first for the year. But tide pool educators is what their objective is for that program. So protection through education is what the tagline is for the program. But they're there, and so when they're there, they end up seeing it. Or our friend Diana, she'll end up seeing them because she's pretty good about going out there almost every single day as well. But yesterday, first tufted puffin, a single solitary tufted puffin, flying fairly low-ish, way out there, but it was there.
So that's pretty exciting for us because that triggers that we can start announcing our tufted puffin walks.
Yes.
So if you're in Cannon Beach, Oregon over the summer at all this year, please check out our Facebook, and we'll have it on the website, and our Chamber of Commerce puts it out too. But we do tufted puffin walks, so you can come out and join us. It's a free walk, and we put up the spotting scopes with binoculars, and we'll show you the tufted puffins.
Yeah. And we kind of, once we see the first one, we still kind of delay a little bit. We just announce the calendar once we see the first one.
Well, yeah, because it takes a while before.
Because it's going to be a little while before they're actually on the rocks. So it's going to be a couple more weeks before they're actually on the rocks. So the walks won't start until then. But we can announce the calendar, which is exciting.
Yeah. So, we're very excited about that. So that means, spring is happening.
Yeah.
Another thing we want to mention is that you might have seen this in the news, but it's been so fun to see all the birders and non-birders check this out. But there has been a bumper crop of Rimu berries in New Zealand, which has fueled a mating frenzy of cockapoo parrots.
Yeah, so if you're not familiar with the cockapoo, you probably are at least familiar with I think it was the Top Gear guys went to New Zealand, and one of the cockapoos tried to mate with his head. It was a whole interesting thing. So if it's on the internet of a cockapoo doing some strange things to one of the guys' heads.
Okay.
It was that was all over the internet.
It's a family show, Eric.
It's a family show, but
So, anyways, that's just really
that's
exciting.
nature in action.
It's just really exciting because cockapoos, they've had such a rough go of things, and so it's exciting that they apparently have had a bunch of babies this year.
Yeah, it's exciting.
So we'll put some information in the show notes if you want to learn more about that. Also, on May 9th is going to be the Global Big Day, which we've had a team for the past couple years. It's really easy to participate, and we hope you'll join us again. But all you have to do is go birding on May 9th, make a checklist, an eBird checklist of any length of time, any number of checklists, and then share it with our team, which is Go Birding Team.
Yeah, and I think it's Global Birding keeps track of all of the teams, the teams that register with them, what their number is for the day, and then kind of ranks all the different teams.
And the past couple of years, we've been in the top 5, so that's very exciting for us.
So any of our listeners, anyone's welcome to do it. Doesn't matter if you only see one bird or if they see 100 birds. Every bird matters.
Anywhere in the world, too. So please join us for that. Put it on your calendar, and we'll announce it a couple more times and put it on our social media.
Speaking of something that we'll announce a couple more times, or we already have mentioned a couple of times, is we are going to Costa Rica in October. and we want you to come with us. So all of the single rooms have been booked already, but there are still some double rooms left. So if you and your partner, if you know somebody that you want to come with, or if you don't know anybody that you want to come with, and you're willing to come and share a room with somebody that is like-minded, likes to listen to us, and likes to go to Costa Rica, then we have links in the show notes for our trip with Naturalist Journeys. We're going down to Costa Rica. Hannah and I are leading that, which is very exciting. First time for us to lead an international tour, so we're nervous, apprehensive, and excited all at the same time. It's a portion of Costa Rica that we haven't been to yet. It's the Caribbean. It's the Caribbean side. We've been to the Pacific side a couple of times. We've also been to kind of central Costa Rica as well, but we haven't been to the Caribbean side. So we're really excited to get to it's similar birds, but some newer stuff too.
Yeah, we've been like
you get to experience some lifers with us. That'd be fun.
In our downtime, we've just been kind of looking at the eBird list for those different lodges. And like, oh, that'll be new. That'll be new. But then we get to see like old favorites like blue-gray tanagers. Yeah. Which I love.
The whole pile of tanagers.
And oropendulas and
and hooded. Yeah.
Yeah.
So very exciting.
Please join us. It'll be a ton of fun. And yeah, I'm trying to figure out like what kind of little lifer gift I can give people.
Some little Hannah and Eric swag for lifers.
Yeah, we'll try to figure something out. If you have suggestions of something you would like, not binoculars, obviously.
Everyone gets a binoculars.
Yeah. So join us for that, and there's information in the show notes. So we also want to thank some folks for supporting our podcast, and you can do that by buying us a coffee or Venmo. And we want to thank someone who chose to remain anonymous for supporting our show this time. But also, if you want to buy some Hannah and Eric Go Birding swag, I've got my earrings for sale on our Buy Me a Coffee page. There's an extras tab. We also have keychains and hats. So if you want to purchase any of that, you can go on our Buy Me a Coffee and do that.
Yeah. All right, so in between episodes of Hannah and Eric Go Birding, Hannah releases other episodes of other podcasts. She's got Women Birders Happy Hour and Bird Nerd Book Club. And last week, Bird Nerd Book Club came out, featuring what book and what author?
So I had on with me James H. McCommons, whose book, The Feather Wars, was like, if I was Oprah, it would be like one of my top Oprah, Hannah books of the year. It's just so fascinating. There's so much interesting information. And like I said in the interview, like I'm going to have to read it several more times and like outline the whole thing because it's so detailed and well researched that I know I missed a lot of really interesting parts to it. Yeah. So please check that out anywhere you listen to podcasts. It came out on March 26th.
And then next week, Women Birders Happy Hour, you interviewed a woman and made a cocktail?
Yeah, so Nina Hale, I've been following her on Instagram for a while, and her handle is Birdsong Bracelets, and she makes these really cool bracelets that are beaded bracelets, and they feature birds and their calls using the sonogram. So just super cool artwork, but it was also really fun to talk with her about birding. So, Eric, we're going a couple places.
Yes, so in actually just a couple of weeks, next week? Yeah, next week. It's really soon. Spring Chirp. Down in the Rio Grande Valley, mid-April. Very excited for it. It's a boutique festival. It's limited to 100 people. I imagine registration's still open. It's really cutting it close, but I'm sure if you emailed the coordinator, you could probably get in. But great fun festival in the Rio Grande Valley in the spring. And then, as I mentioned earlier, Costa Rica in October. If you want to come with us, you can book it through the link in our show notes with Naturalist Journeys. We're very excited about it. Can't wait to get back to Costa Rica. It's been a while.
Yeah.
And then
especially after this trip that we're going to talk about in a minute.
Yeah.
I'm excited for some tropical birding.
Some warmer weather.
Yeah.
And then Rio Grande Valley Birding Festival in November. The first week in November. Very excited for that festival. It's one of the biggest festivals in the country. It is a blast. Tons and tons of valley specialty birds, all sorts of cool things. Chachalacas, kiskidees. And weird migrating things that come through that are always a surprise. Always something weird that shows up.
Yeah, definitely. So, excited for all those trips.
Yes.
So that brings us to our April Bird Nerd giveaway. And what we have for you this time is a random assortment of things that we bought in Japan for you, including a laminated field guide and chopsticks featuring snow fairies, which we'll talk about in a minute. But what we want you to do for that, our deadline is April 28th. And what we want you to do is tell us your favorite winter birding spot. So to enter that, all you have to do is go on our Facebook or email or however you contact us and let us know what your favorite winter birding spot is.
And BTW, we use these questions to kind of sometimes plan future trips. So if you have something really interesting in the winter that we should go to, maybe use that as your entry.
Yeah, it's easy for us to get away in the winter.
Yeah, wintertime is much easier, even though there's not as many birds usually.
Depending on where you're at.
Yeah, depending on where you're at. That's true.
So, we were in Japan. We talked about it extensively before, that we were going. So you're all aware. I posted on Facebook the other day, like, hey, we're going to talk about Japan. And people were like, I've been waiting for this. Which is very cool.
Especially because we planned this trip almost a full year ago. It was 10 months, 11 months ahead of time.
Much longer than we normally plan something.
Yeah, I don't know why we ended up planning it so far.
Because we had to book it to get the guide and get the blinds.
Well, but we didn't really know that we needed that until we were informed by our guide that, I'm glad you guys booked it early because the spots are already full.
I feel like I had an inkling that was going to be the case.
Okay. But yeah, it is difficult to book some of the stuff in Japan for the winter birding because it is very popular not only with international tourists going to Japan but also local Japanese birders,
photographers
mostly photographers really want to go to the spots that you go to for winter birding in Japan. So the spots fill up very, very early, and if you're a local in Japan, you have a lot more flexibility in dates because you're there and you don't have to fly halfway around the world to get there. So you can be like, if it's not full that first week, I'll just book the second week or whatever it is. We already had set dates 10 months out, 11 months out.
Yeah.
And we still had to shift our dates around a little bit, even though it was that far out to be able to make it all the spots that we wanted to hit. So just be aware of that. If you're booking a winter birding trip in Japan,
do it now.
Do it now in the spring for next winter.
Yeah. So anyways, we landed in Tokyo at about 5:30. We had a couple days to play with before meeting with our guide. And we wanted to bird a little bit, but also, experience Tokyo because
because we knew we're going to be out. Generally, when we go to birding, we go out into the countryside and we don't see the cultural experiences in town.
Well,
of stuff. We don't see the architecture. We don't see town.
That's not necessarily true. So we've been accused of it in the past that we're just like bird.
Yeah.
And that we don't, go out and actually experience the culture and the place that we're at.
Yeah.
And a lot of times we do, inadvertently while we're out birding, sometimes we'll go to these nature parks and learn things about the culture and the communities that we're in. We don't necessarily always talk about
That's
it.
True. We don't do a good job of talking about it.
Yeah, because we try to focus on the birds.
Yeah.
But
we don't want these podcasts to be 3 hours long. We try to cut stuff to keep it short.
Well, and as many of you may know, when you're traveling and you're going birding, there's a lot more that you absorb while you're out there rather than just birding.
Yeah.
And it might be something that we don't necessarily talk about, but because it's not forefront in our brain.
Yeah.
So anyways, that being said, we got to Tokyo and we had a couple days to play with. I really wanted to check out Disney, and I know a lot of people don't like Disney, but it's something that I grew up with, and I really wanted to see the Tokyo Disney.
Yeah.
And so we had booked tickets to go do that already. We hadn't quite decided where to stay because Tokyo is ginormous and there's a lot of different parts to it. Yeah. But we ended up
booking it almost last second, the hotel, but Tokyo is a very large city and there's lots and lots of options. The first couple of hotels that we scoped out were already booked, but like I said, lots and lots of options.
There was a really cool onsen one that I wanted to stay in, but they only had one night, not both nights.
Yeah, they didn't have both nights that we wanted. But we ended up booking a hotel in the Asukasa neighborhood, which is central west, I guess.
Yeah, I think so.
Of Tokyo proper. Tokyo is if anybody isn't familiar, is a very, very large city. Full disclosure, we saw a very, very, very small portion of the city. We saw basically one neighborhood and then the area around Disney. And that's basically all we had time for in 2 days, which we could have spent more than 2 days just in the Asukasa neighborhood, but we only had 2 days.
And we chose that neighborhood because we really wanted to see the Sensō-ji Temple, which is also known as the 5-tiered pagoda. And that is another Disney thing, because at Disney World and Epcot, they have a replica of it.
Yeah.
And so, it's something that we're familiar with seeing. And so we wanted to see the actual
original actual one, yeah.
Well, not the original one.
That's
because
true.
It's
not
been
the original.
rebuilt a number of times. So anyways, we got to our hotel after about an hour-long metro ride from the airport to there.
Yeah, so it's honestly Tokyo Metro, the whole public transit, very easy to navigate. Yeah. It's very... It makes sense. It's not complicated. It is complicated, but it's not. It's easy. Well, like you punch into the tickets.
And with Google Maps nowadays, I mean, you just type in where you want to go. You say the metro, and then it tracks you at each stop, and it's like, this is your stop.
Yeah.
So it has gotten to be so much more simple.
But it was honestly very easy to navigate. But it is like this weird feeling when you've been traveling for 12 hours or 15 hours or whatever, and then you're just sleep deprived.
And you're just thrown right into it.
And you're thrown right into it. You're off and running. Which is what we're doing. Off and running, right to our first hotel.
Yeah, so we got to our hotel and we hit the ground running. We wanted to see the temple. So we walked over there. It was maybe like a 5-minute walk.
Maybe 5 minutes, yeah.
Yeah,
it was pretty short.
We were really close. And it's an ancient Buddhist temple with a pagoda, a main hall, and just these huge, impressive gates. And it's one of the most widely visited religious sites in the world. And as history lovers might know, it was destroyed in a firebombing air raid in Tokyo in World War II and rebuilt in the 50s. But it was believed to...
It has also been burned down multiple times prior to that. Like this is a site that they're very dedicated to keeping this religious site active and usable. So it literally I think it's like 4 times that it's been burned down.
Oh,
3 or 4 times at least.
It dates back to the 7th century. So I mean, it's been around for a very long time.
But it keeps getting rebuilt in its form, and then each time materials are updated, so it'll be a little bit more resilient, and then it gets burned down again.
So, like I said, it was like a 5-minute walk to the first gates, which are called the Thunder Gates, and they have this massive paper lantern. There were lots of stores. It was closed. Most of it was closed while we were there, but there were stores along the sides, lots of restaurants of different styles. There's McDonald's that we didn't end up going to.
I know, we should have. I don't know why we didn't.
I don't know. But yeah, lots of different restaurants and options. And since it was the evening, but there was actually still a lot of people there, even though it was the evening.
Yeah, there's 2 market areas for this. So there's the central, the road that leads right into the temple, and that was all basically closed. But then there's
was more historic.
That was like the historic mall area. And then there's like a T, like halfway up that has like an outdoor mall type of stuff. And most of that stuff was open. Yeah. So there was like just shops and like sit down restaurants and stuff.
We went to like a ramen restaurant.
Yeah. And so it was like 50-50 of stuff being closed. But it was really interesting that I was reading about this, that historically, way back when it was first built, people were prohibited from being in that area unless you were practicing Buddhist, and you were not allowed to be in there. And then slowly, as the centuries went on, they were like, "Oh, well, okay, fine. The locals, you can set up shops." And so then I think it's for like 1,000 years, you've had shops set up in this area. So it was kind of interesting.
Yeah, but there were still a lot of people there in the evening when we were there. The main building was closed, but outside they had these written fortunes that you could get, and it was like 100 yen. You shake this metal box, and out would come a numbered stick that you'd match with a drawer that had a fortune in it. So there were a lot of people doing that. Yeah, and we just kind of wandered around because we were sleep deprived, but also just the majesty of the whole site is just so impressive. Yeah, that we were just taking it all in. Like I said, we found some dinner, and then we headed back to the hotel because the next day we were headed to Disney Sea. Yeah, so Disney Sea doesn't open until 9 a.m., and sunrise is around 7-ish in the morning, so we had a good 2 hours of sunlight before the park opened, so we were like, well, let's swing by the Sensō-ji Temple again.
And man, it is an entirely different vibe in the morning. In the evening, it is very touristy. Everyone's taking photos, tons of people taking videos and selfies and all sorts of stuff. In the morning, that's when the morning prayers for the local Buddhists is going on. And it was much more mellow, a much more contemplative and like reverent vibe to the whole thing, which basically everyone that was going in, there was a handful of tourists. It wasn't like it was empty of tourists, but there was a lot of visitors there, but so many locals that were just going in, going through different rituals as they were entering the site, and it was definitely a different vibe. It was still very busy.
Yeah, so we watched the prayers for a little bit, which was really interesting, and I'm glad that we got to see that.
Yeah, being led, there were some Buddhist monks that were leading the prayers, and the whole prayer hall itself completely full, and it was very
I like how you say
quiet.
Completely full, and there was like 10 people.
No, but all of this, it's not a very big hall itself.
No, I know.
The hall itself does not fit that many people.
Yeah.
So it was completely full. There was no seats left.
Yeah,
there was no spots for people.
But there was only like 10.
Yeah. Well, and it's designated specifically for those that are members of that
Yeah.
temple.
No, I know. I'm just teasing you. So that was really cool. That we ended up going back several times because it was just so interesting to check out. So we got to Disney Sea, which we took a bus to get there, because it's a little bit outside the city. When we got there, it was already packed. We waited in line to get into security. We waited in line to get into the park.
We still arrived like a half hour, maybe 40 minutes before the gates opened.
Yeah.
And it was still like a solid wall of people.
Yeah.
Which is busier than I've ever seen any of the American Disney properties. Like when you first get there in the morning, like I've never seen.
I've seen Disneyland that busy, like on New Year's.
Okay.
Yeah.
On a holiday. This is just, what day of the week?
It was like
like Thursday? Yeah. It's a Thursday in the middle of February.
So be prepared for that if you decide to go. We only ended up getting on 2 rides throughout the day because it was so busy, but also because we just really wanted to see it.
Yeah.
And the whole property, I mean, the property is really big too. But one of the cool things to go check out there is the food.
Yes, there's it's not a ton of food, but it's all different food than what you have in any of the American parks.
Yeah, so Eric ended up getting like a sushi roll for breakfast and a beer and
and a beer for breakfast.
Yeah, and every single popcorn stand has different popcorn. So you got curry popcorn. I got a creme brulee churro, which was fantastic. Throughout the day they have this big USS Columbia ship that has a Teddy Roosevelt bar on it, and I really wanted to go to that, but we got over there and there was already a wait list of like 2 hours.
Yeah, it was interesting.
Yeah, it was interesting. So we ended up leaving there around like 2 or so.
But while we were there, though, we did have a handful of birds. We didn't bring our binoculars with us. So this is a birding podcast. We did see some birds while we were there. Eastern spot-billed ducks, mallards, common poachards, lots of rock pigeons. We had this occipiter-ish bird that we didn't have binoculars. It was flying kind of high. Hannah swears up and down.
It was a Japanese sparrowhawk.
It was a Japanese sparrowhawk. I didn't get a good enough look. I ended up putting it on the list. Occipitrine hawkspa is what I put it as. But I don't.
Well, we were hoping, maybe we'll get a better look.
Maybe we'll get a better look at a different one later. So then it was like, okay, well then I can upgrade this.
We had hope
if we see a better look at a Japanese sparrowhawk, and then we can upgrade it. But bulbuls, white-eared starlings, white wagtails, lots of just city birds, which is to be expected. We also had a Japanese cormorant, a great cormorant, not a Japanese cormorant, which are a lot of fun to watch. Big white thing on their throat.
Yeah, so at about 2, we kind of gave up trying to get on anything, and we went back to the Asakusa so we could explore it a little bit more in the daytime. And we wandered around and got street food, which you're not allowed to. Well, you're not culturally supposed to walk and eat at the same time.
Well, and there's signs because it's rude to walk and eat. So when you're with your group, you get your food and you choose somewhere to stand, and you stand and eat it and talk as if you're at a dining room table, and you're gathered together in a group. And there's tons and tons of signs everywhere of don't eat here, don't eat here, don't eat here. And it's because those are in front of other shops, and the other shops don't want you to sit in front of the shop and be rude and block their business. So there was like designated areas that you could stand and eat, and we ended up finding we were walking and eating the first thing we got, and then it was like, oh, we're the only ones walking and eating. It's like, okay, well, let's fix this. So then we found somewhere in the second place we couldn't find somewhere to stand, and we ended up standing next to a shop, and then I think the announcement came on because of us.
I don't know.
I'm not sure.
So just be aware of that.
Yeah, just be aware. Just sensitive to the culture.
Yeah. So, yeah, we spent the rest of that day just kind of milling about and seeing what there was to see. The next morning, we had to take all our stuff because we were headed from Disney to airport hotel, so we could fly out the next morning. Mm-hmm. But we wanted to go birding a little bit on the way. And so there's a park that's right next to Disneyland, like the stop before.
It's like right across the water. There's like a inlet or a bay that you cross over on the metro, and just before the exit for Disney is this park, the Kasai Kahin Park, or the Kasai Rinkai Park.
And it also says bird watching center, like on the Google Maps.
On the Google Maps, yeah, it was pretty obvious. A big.
Oh my gosh, I just said on the Google Maps.
On the Google.
I apologize, man. I'm a millennial.
It was a pretty obvious. Pretty obvious spot when you're just looking at the eBird maps. It's like right there, or if you're looking at Google Maps, it's a green spot that's just northwest of Disney itself. So it's relatively easy to find, and it's just one stop before Disney. So
yeah, so we hustled from the train station right over, and just on the other side of the bridge, we had 11 azure winged magpies, which was kind of the goal.
That was the goal of that site, was to go find some azure winged magpies, which very, very common at that park, apparently.
Yeah, they're so beautiful too. Yeah,
just great looking birds. Like any other corvid. I think they're a corvid. They're corvids. They're very personable, and they're kind of jerks, and they're loud. And I didn't get an audio recording of them. I should have, but got lots of photos because they're just like right there. Yeah, and it was like, oh, all right, I guess we can leave. We've been here 3.5 minutes, maybe. But it was like, no. We have some other birds that are more common in this city than outside of the city. We had things. Targets like hawfinches and brown-headed thrushes and stuff that we were hoping to get, because these are much more common in city parks than they are way out in actual nature. So we were like, well, let's spend some more time. And we still had like 2 hours until, because we got there pretty early. We got there right at sunset, right at sunrise. So we had some time before Disney opened, because again, Disney didn't open until 9. So it's like, okay, we're going to have like basically 2 hours that we can bird here.
Yeah. So we hustled over to the birding trail, which was, I don't know, maybe another 5 minutes or so from the train station. And our targets were really like brown-headed thrush and hawfinch. And so we were walking down this trail with a really nice paved trail. There was water on either side.
And like little blinds.
Yeah. Because it was almost like it was sunken, the trail. And then it had blinds
on either side.
Yeah, to look at the water. And there wasn't a whole lot. Like, there were some water birds, Eurasian coots and great cormorants and great egrets and things like that. But we were not seeing those foresty birds that we were looking for.
Even though the trail is also forested. So it's forested, and then the cuts in the trees in the forested area, you can see out over water, and so it's like you're protected by the trees, and then you walk up and there's a blind that opens out to water. Yeah. And then you go along and there's more trees.
And there was a lot of photographers that were there.
Tons of photographers. I guess milling about. I guess there was a rare bird of some sort that had been seen a couple of days before that everyone was there trying to photograph. Oh. That's what our guide was telling us, but he was like, "Oh, did you see it?" It's like, we didn't know. And I think it was a European species that
we probably already had.
Probably already. I don't remember honestly what the species was, but it wasn't high on the target. We weren't there to go find rare birds. We were there to just find birds.
Yeah. So to each their own.
Yeah. So there's a lot of photographers. That is all to say. There's a lot of photographers wandering around looking for birds. And we were just enjoying the whole nature park of it.
Yeah, and so there wasn't a whole lot in the water beside us, but we looked at every blind, and then we got to kind of a L in the trail where it turned to the right, and the bird watching,
just before you get to the bird watching center itself, the building.
Yeah, and so there was a thrush that flew up from the ground into the tree just right at that turn, and finally got binoculars on it, and it was the brown-headed thrush.
I was like, yes. So 2 targets at this point. Two targets down. Boom. All right.
But while we were looking at that bird, I saw like way off in the distance, Hoffinches.
Yeah.
Got number 3.
Yeah. So we got all 3 of our main targets for the park, and it was like, all right, well now let's make our way back to the train station so we can go and spend the rest of the day doing very commercial activities.
Yeah, but it's a really nice park. We didn't have a huge number of birds, but we had, brown-eared bulbul, white-cheeked starlings, and those targets that we had come for. I really wish we would have been able to be there when the bird watching center was open.
I know.
Because I always like seeing those kind of things. But
based on our experience the previous day at Disney Sea, it was like, well, we should probably get to Disneyland just as early to make sure that we can get there. So
and we were concerned about getting lockers for all. We were
concerned about getting lockers because at this time we're carrying we each have a backpacking backpack. It's like it's the maximum size that still fits in the carry-on, and then we each had a second our quote unquote personal item that goes underneath the seat on the plane. Mine is my camera bag. Hannah had
my scope,
a scope bag. Yeah. So we're carrying lots of gear as we're walking along. Basically, our 2 weeks worth of everything that we need with us. So it's like, okay, well, we want to be able to set this down somewhere.
Yeah.
But we spent 45 minutes at that park. Ended up with 19 species. So I thought it was a pretty good showing. But we hopped back on the metro or onto the rail and went one stop and got off. At this point, the metro was full of people. It was slam packed full of people.
Disney adults.
Lots of Disney people. So it was like, oh, this is kind of concerning. Like so many people going to Disney at this point, and it's like, oh man. But luckily, when we got off, like only half the train evacuated. The other half, I guess, was going to Disney Sea. We're going on for the rest of their day at work.
Yeah. So we got our lockers. It was really easy, just right at the end of the train station, and we spent the rest of the day at Disney. Yeah.
So we spent the day at Disney. It was 800 yen for the locker for a full day.
Which ended up being like $5.
It's like $5 or so. So we spent the day at Disney. Did all the regular Disney stuff, mostly eating, mostly trying the different foods that we had. There was a couple rides that we got on that were different rides than this, but
we got on Jungle Cruise, which is my absolute favorite.
And all the jokes were in Japanese, and just like the American Jungle Cruise. Most people aren't laughing the whole time.
Laughing.
It's just silent. Everyone's just sitting there listening. And the person, like, the intonation was like, okay, they're telling jokes. But I don't understand the joke. I'm assuming the jokes are the same jokes or similar jokes as they are on the American Disney Cruise, or on the American Jungle Cruise. But it was, like, everyone's still in silence, though. And, like, some of the kids are, like, smiling and stuff. But it's like, are there jokes? The intonation sounds like jokes. And they're saying phrases at the same times that they would say jokes, like as you're coming up to the water and everyone lean up, all that stuff. But it's like, it's just as quiet as the American. Like, are the jokes just as not funny in Japanese as they are not funny in English?
Stop. Because if you ever go on one ride with me, it'll have to be Jungle Cruise, because I laugh my butt off the entire time. I think it's the funniest thing.
Yes.
I think
you're funny.
That's my dream in life, is to be a Jungle Cruise operator.
Yeah.
So someday when I retire from everything. So anyways, that was fun, but again, very, very busy. So we did what we could to get on rides, and we didn't see a whole lot of birds there that day, but we saw birds earlier that morning. We got over to the airport hotel that we were staying at, and then we got on our 8 a.m. flight to get to Hokkaido.
Yeah. So the next couple of days, we're all in Hokkaido. We'll quickly talk about like the first 2 days or so in Hokkaido, but we met Koji at the arrivals. He went and got the car, and we skadoodle off. Just so everyone knows, I had completely forgotten that everyone drives on the left-hand side of the road in Japan. I don't know why that completely slipped my mind, but I didn't realize it really until
we were in the car.
Until we were in the car, because when we were in Tokyo, there was so much metro and stuff. Everything's all confusing. It's hard to tell what's going on. But once we were out in the country, it's like, oh yes, left side of the road here.
So are you disappointed?
I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed. I didn't drive because. So
we have to go back. So
we're gonna have to go back so I can drive in Japan. But we got in the car and headed off, and within a few minutes, we had a giant red crown crane statue.
Yeah.
And Koji, our guide, was like, well, there's our targets. We're gonna go find red crown cranes, and so like probably within 5 minutes, drove past a farm field, and boom. 3 or 4 red crown cranes right there, and he's like, "Oh, we're not going to stop here. They're
they're right there."
But you just said this is our target, and he's like, "No, not here. Not we're going to a sanctuary that is a protected area that has many more cranes." So we continued on and made it to this 10-hectare grassland sanctuary that has been protected by a dairy farmer for generations. It's there's multiple generations of people that have protected this farm. Through the whole winter, they throw out seeds so that the cranes continue coming back, and it has red crown cranes.
Yes. Yeah, and, driving through Hokkaido, a lot of it is just real, like, country. Like, farming.
Yeah, a lot of farmland out in Hokkaido.
It's a total different atmosphere than Tokyo.
Yes. It was, like, culture shock, like... You're in Tokyo, and then boom,
environment shock.
It's just completely different situation out there.
Yeah. So, like Eric said, this location's protected, and it's operated now by the Wild Bird Society of Japan. And there were, I don't know, maybe like 24 other photographers who were already there. And, it was being like a weekday. It's like, this is a lot of people for a weekday morning. And they had fed earlier in the morning. We were there a little later at
just because of the time of our flights.
Yeah. But it is just so stunning to see these gigantic birds. It's like seeing sandhill cranes, but not nearly as many. Up close. Yeah. Well, and I thought, what did we see? We said 54 red crown cranes at the site, and they've had up to 300 there before. So we were seeing a portion of it.
Yeah.
But they were just milling about, squawking at each other, and we were a little too early to see them dance. But it's just so fun to see them like fly in and then yell at everybody else,
and they're not very like aerodynamic.
No.
Like most cranes are. It's difficult. So there's like this rise in the middle of the field that anytime any one of them wanted to take off, they would all kind of, as a group, head over to the top of the hill, kind of mill about, squawk at each other a little bit, and then start running down the hill to get some momentum going down the hill before they jump off. And so they use the hill to their advantage to try to fly away.
So we spent a lot of time there because it's so stunning to see them.
Yeah.
It was also very cold, so we had
below freezing. Yeah.
We had to put all our cold gear on, which Tokyo was. We had a warmer day.
It was chilly, but it was much warmer.
Yeah. So yeah, we had to get all that out, and it was stunning to see them walk around in the snow.
Oh my gosh!
And when we got there, it wasn't snowing like. I'm an Oregonian. We don't really have a whole lot of snow, so I don't have a whole lot of words for snow. But it was like...
we have a lot of different words for rain.
Yeah, it was like glitter, like falling down from the sky. Like the way the tiny little snowflakes and then the sun shining on them. I mean, it made the whole thing look magical.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a lot of fun, especially for it to be like some of our first species, like... right here, red crown cranes.
Well, and something we really wanted to see.
Amazing views and the bright blue breeding plumage, and then you have the ones from last year and the ones from like the end of last year, the ones from the year before that are all kind of like mottled and like weird looking, and then you have like these breeding plumage ones. And it's just like every single age. It was super cool.
So from there, we kept on driving, and we got our driving lifer Stellar Sea Eagle.
Yeah.
So we started driving northeast to get to where our destination was for the evening, Nemuro. And we stopped at a couple frozen lakes along the way that had thawed out a little bit. So there were ducks taking advantage of the water, the open water. And we got our lifer falcated duck, which is honestly the most, like I would have said beforehand, hands down, bufflehead's the most beautiful duck in the world. But falcated duck... I don't know. There's something about like the sleekness of the green in their head and the white, that's like their chin and then the head shape. I mean, it's not like a wood duck. It's like it's almost like a common merganser.
I thought of it as like a pintail, like the head and neck, kind of like a pintail.
Well, yeah, but it's like swept back.
It is swept back. That's
true. It's like a 80s duck. It's beautiful. So when we got out to Nemuro, out towards the sea area on the northern side, there were a couple of capes that Koji wanted to check for to see if we could get like guillemots and mergansers and things like that. And we ended up at one. that had a lighthouse at it.
It was Cape Kiritapu, which has a lighthouse, and it's just kind of like a very high overlook area
Yeah.
that was blowing wind,
It
and
was awful.
there was like icicles flying that were like sharp and stabbing your eyes. It was a little bit miserable out of the top of this. And so we're bundled up. We have our beanies and our gloves and everything on, but it was still like, whew, this is biting. But we had Lifer Spectacle Guillemot flying by down in the water. We had tons of black scoters. We had harlequin ducks, red-breasted mergansers. We had all sorts of just sea duck birds flying around. Spectacle Guillemot was very exciting.
Yeah.
But lots of cool things out there. But we were kind of miserable, and we were like, let's go somewhere not on the wind.
Yeah.
Which it was difficult to find somewhere not on the wind because the storm had just blown through a couple of days ago, and it was still kind of remnant winds from the storm. We're just like everywhere. So everywhere we went was windy and cold and snow,
kind of miserable.
Snow blowing either from the ground being picked up and thrown, or just rainy snow.
Yeah, and like I said, the whole northern area is like grassland and farming areas, so it's just real open expanses. And there were tons of deer all over the place, which we were like excited about the deer for the first couple, and then it was like deer.
They're everywhere.
Deer, yeah.
Koji was saying it's an invasive deer from, I think it's from Russia, that isn't really that heavily hunted. So it does a lot of damage to crops. It does a lot of damage to the native habitat, the native wildlife, and then people aren't really hunting it that often. So it's not really it's hard for their numbers to stay in check.
Yeah,
but there are tons of them everywhere.
Yeah. So we drove around some of the ports because we could drive and stay in the warm car.
And also, even when you got out, we're kind of protected because we're in the port area.
Yeah. And there's tons of ports up in that area. And one thing that really struck us was how clean they all are.
Oh my gosh.
There's no garbage anywhere. And if you have garbage, you hold on to it until you get to your house, and then you throw it away there. And pretty much everybody follows that rule.
Pretty much, yeah. So it was very interesting. It's very culturally Japanese that you don't have garbage. You keep your garbage with you. You pretend like it never even existed, and then you throw it away at your house.
Yeah.
Because there wasn't any public garbage cans anywhere. There wasn't anywhere for us to put garbage. So it's like, how are people not throwing it on the ground? Like in the United States,
we wanted to throw it on the ground.
No, not at all. But in the United States, there and in a lot of other countries we've been to, there's just, especially in ports, garbage. Like that is where it collects. It comes in and just. But no garbage at all. It was really interesting.
And another thing is that there were public bathrooms like pretty regularly. Like we went to this one spot that looked abandoned. It looked like an abandoned restaurant, and it had a public bathroom that was next to it, and inside were Japanese toilets, because that's pretty much what's everywhere. Yeah. And the toilet seat was heated. It's like, this place looks like nobody's been here in years and has a heated toilet seat.
Yeah.
So I thought that was kind of interesting. And that whole area, they have adopted tufted puffins as their like a brand bird, and they had these really
the city bird.
Yeah, they had these really cute comic puffins around
everywhere, on all the signs, on everything.
Yeah, which was just really exciting for me, at least, because we live on the eastern side of the range, and like we talked about in the beginning, tufted puffins are a big part of our life out here, and so it was just really cool to see them on the
western edge of their range.
Yeah, and take that to heart and mean something to those people up there. So that was really cool.
Yeah. So we worked our way along, stopping at some capes, stopping at some ports, and ended up in the city of Nomura, which is the easternmost city in Japan. It's a fishing town that our guide Koji was telling us that there was a massive downturn decades ago that in fishing productivity. Probably due to overfishing, and then so the city's economy took a massive hit right there, and then the Japanese government wanted to start regulating fishing to try to get the fisheries to grow again, and that was another hit to their economy. So this town it's kind of depressed. There's not a lot going on in the town, and it's because they had one industry, and that was fishing, and fishing kind of dropped off. So it was interesting. Not very many people around. It was just kind of looked abandoned. I think the town probably looked less abandoned in nicer weather. but it was very cold. So
it's the winter.
It's the winter. So not a lot going on. We went to a restaurant. It was kind of a Japanese style restaurant. Really good edamame that was cooked in garlic. Some local Japanese beer.
Well, and I was concerned when we first got there because it's a seated it's Japanese style restaurant.
Japanese style with a low table and everything.
Yeah, and seated on the floor. And I was like, oh man, I don't know if I can sit cross-legged that long on the floor or my feet are going to fall asleep. But it actually ended up having like a ledge underneath. So like you could just hang your feet down. Yeah. So that was like, oh, okay. That was kind of nice.
A little secret spot to put your feet.
Yeah, but really good food there. But the hotel that we stayed at first, Koji asked us what kind of room would you like? Would you like an American or a Western style or a Japanese style? And, we were like, oh yeah, we'd love to check out a Japanese style room. Yeah. And when we got there, I think wires got crossed and he was like, oh no, the Western style is not available both nights. And we were like, Japanese style is great. Japanese style. Let's do that. And so our room was massive. We walked in and there was a futon on one side and then kind of around the corner to the bathroom. And then inside a little bit further was the traditional Japanese style beds.
Yeah, so it was a tatami bedroom that was the bamboo mats on the floor. Take off your shoes so you don't mess them up. Take off your shoes basically right when you first walk in the door. Yeah. But it's nice the tatami mats laying on the floor and kind of like just
the futon mattress.
A futon pad laying on the floor, and everything was nice and low. Little low table in that room. Very, very comfortable. Yeah, like heated floors. Like everything was just like, ooh, this is very nice.
Yeah. And the hotel had a really nice breakfast with a lot of choices. Eric really appreciated the curry that they had. So our first stop of the morning was to go to Nemuro Park, and it's a nice little nature trail, big grassy spots. There was like a huge clock tower in the middle of it too. It was all covered with snow, and we walked down the trails.
It reminded me of like a college campus.
That's what I thought too.
Yeah, with the big towers.
Yeah. So we walked down the trails to a blind, no birds. The feeding spot hadn't been filled, so we headed back up the trail, and I was like neurotic the whole time about walking because I am gonna slip, fall, and break something.
Yeah, and everything was slippery. Yeah. Everything was icy.
Thank you. And I was wearing extra tough boots, which are like perfect for this kind of condition because, I mean, the ones I had were fleece lined, but also because they are made by fishermen and so they have great traction.
Yeah, they have the type of rubber on the bottom is very sticky.
Even though it's flat, like on the bottom.
Well, it's just sticky rubber.
Yeah.
So it's good.
Yeah. So we headed back up the trail, and then off to the left, we heard some peeping, and there were marsh tits. And then long-tailed tits, which are the snow fairies.
Yes.
That I alluded to.
Yeah, so snow fairies, it's the local term that they use. A lot of people, it's on the internet a lot.
I think it's I don't know if it's an anime term, is it?
I don't think so.
Okay.
It might be, but they're basically long-tailed tits when they're cold, especially in the winter. They fluff up, and so they're cute. Like this ball with like a face in the middle of the ball, and then a little bit of a tail sticking out, because everything's all fluffed up and everything. So little cute guys, and they're jumping around feeding, which it was like because around that corner the sun was shining and it had warmed up an area, so there's probably a little bit of insect activity, even though it was below freezing still, and so they're picking along at all the different buds, trying to find little insect larvae living inside those things.
And we had Eurasian nuthatches, which I couldn't remember. We did have them before in Europe, but I spaced on that. And they have like the best eyeliner. I mean, they're a beautiful bird. Yeah. And then finally our Japanese pygmy woodpecker.
Yes.
So you got a woodpecker. Cool.
I got a woodpecker. Got a bunch of photos of this guy. It was a lot of fun to watch him. So we walked a little further, had some goldcrest, Eurasian tree creepers.
Which Koji was really excited about, the tree creeper.
He was very excited about the tree creeper. And we ended up leaving that park and headed over to an overlook that was basically getting all set up for like some sort of sauna spa weekend of some sort. They had a crane truck there that was like dropping off big Connex boxes.
Different kinds of saunas.
Yeah, so that was interesting, but we weren't there for the spas and the saunas. We were there to stand on the other side of the lighthouse in a little blind that was built and look at the ocean and do some sea watching. Sea watching is very big in eastern Hokkaido during this time of year because that's where storms blow in weird stuff. You can get interesting pelagics and stuff like that just from land. So that's what we were there to do. So black scoters, harlequin ducks, long-tailed ducks, pigeon guillemots, and then much better looks at our spectacled guillemot because we weren't freezing. We were sitting in a blind this time, so it was much easier to stand there and see stuff. We had a white-tailed eagle fly super close, probably within like 20 feet of the blind. Really good looks at these guys.
And the Russia was just like, I don't know, 2 or 3 miles like across the water from us.
Yeah, so Russia has a whole bunch of islands out there. Japan has a bunch of islands. Russia has a bunch of islands. And one of the islands has a lighthouse that was just like in the ocean. It wasn't on an island. It was like a rock that they...
I don't even know how they built it out there.
I don't know how they did it. It was interesting. We'll probably include some photos in the post on Facebook, but it was just like this lighthouse just on a rock in the middle of the water. No way to get to it. It was just like, okay.
Yeah, so we weren't seeing a whole lot more other than that stuff. And so we went over to Seiko Mart, which is the convenience store that's really popular, and grabbed lunch, which they, you might hear a lot about Japanese convenience stores. They're not wrong. They're awesome. Yeah, and so they have a lot of really good food. And
Koji had planned this each day. He was like, okay, well, we're going to stop at that Seiko Mart. It's going to take us 5 minutes to get out there and move on. So it was interesting that it was a planned stop, but he notified us ahead of time that this is the plan. We are going to stop at this stop here. They're going to have a bathroom, and then we can move on.
Well, and they legitimately have like good food,
good hot food, cold food, the whole thing. So it was nice. We just going each day and grab some chicken and rice and some yellow sauce. I don't even know what that stuff was.
I don't know what it was, but it was so good.
It was very good.
They do have a massive selection of drinks and a lot of different
hundreds of teas.
And I really wanted like just a black iced tea.
Yeah.
Because it was like too complicated to look at everything else. And the first day I got like a roasted barley tea. It was terrible.
Yeah, I got multiple types of roasted green tea.
Yeah.
It was okay. It's an acquired taste.
Yeah, I'm sure you might like it. Somebody might like it, but I did not. So, but there's a market for it. So obviously people do.
Yeah. I think I had the first like 3 drinks that I got were roasted green teas. And the first one I was like, oh, this is horrible. And then the second one I got on accident, not intending on getting a roasted green tea. And I was like, it's not so bad. And then the third one I was like, I'm starting to like this.
After like the second one, I was like, I'm just gonna get sparkling water from here on out. I know I like that. So yeah, we had lunch in the car and we checked out a couple more ports. Didn't have a whole lot else at those ports. I mean, the typical like grebes and gulls and ducks and cormorants and things like that. But it's interesting to drive through all those different places.
Yeah.
And see what's going on.
Yeah.
We did,
and again, very clean.
Yeah.
No garbage in the ports.
We did stop at the Nemuro Citizens Forest, another spot with some blinds and feeders, and it was pretty quiet, except there was a white-tailed eagle getting chased by a couple of large-billed crows.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, and it landed in a tree not very far from us, and then it like hid from the crows, and the crows like kept on going.
Yeah, they flew a circle as if they lost track of it, and then they were like, well, I guess he's gone. I guess that jerk's gone. And then
got him out of here.
We got him. They flew away. They very successfully flew away. Like, ha ha ha.
So we checked out a couple more ports. One port, the Nemuro port, was really cool because it had a huge float of tufted ducks.
Yes.
And Japanese cormorant and lots of crows, kind of your typical things. And then at about like 2:45, everything was kind of winding down. And Koji mentioned the possibility of seeing a short-eared owl. And we're like, it's not a lifer, but yeah, let's see some short-eared owls. That's cool.
Let's find them.
So we were driving like kind of down through some like ponds and like
it kind of like drops down and up and down and up, and each down section of the road had a couple of ponds on either side, and then we come back up, and then there'd be like a big prairie field, and then back down. Yeah,
so we're looking at this one pond that had a couple falcated ducks because I love them now. They're the coolest.
They're so fun.
And then a short-eared owl flew through like the ponds, and then a second one.
Yeah, and it was like, oh, cool. That's so. And so we're like trying to take. Koji like pulls over real hard, and we're trying to take photos, and boom, boom, as going through, and they're moving super fast.
Oh yeah, the wind was blowing them all over the place.
It was whipping still, and we get a couple of okay photos, and then the next down that we go through, we see a short-eared owl. It's like, oh cool, get some photos of short-eared owl, and then another bird flies by, and it was a hen harrier. I was like, oh, nice. And so I get like one photo of the back of a hen harrier as it goes around the corner, and then it never came back out again.
Yeah.
It's like, well, like, okay.
Yeah, we waited a while for it. So we ended up seeing 4 or 5 short-eared owls just driving through.
Just driving a whole loop around that little peninsula area.
Yeah. So that was pretty cool. And then that second night, we went to more of an international style restaurant that had, had a couple more families there. So it was a little busier.
A little busier.
Yeah, they were real dressed up. I felt super underdressed.
Yeah, it seemed like the daughter in the family was celebrating some sort of life event, because she was like, whether it's graduating or winter formal or birthday or something, she was dressed way fancier than the rest of the family. Yeah. But it was like, oh yeah, well, they're all chatting and having a good time.
Yeah.
The food was good too.
Yeah, it was. So the next morning we had scheduled a nature cruise, which was actually going to go out, which was nice.
It had been canceled for the last 2 weeks because of the wind.
Yeah. And so Koji had been checking like in advance, like, hey, is it going tomorrow?
Calling him every single day.
Yeah. And he called that morning and he couldn't get a hold of him and he was like panicking. But then he was like, okay, well, they haven't said it's canceled, so we'll make sure to go. And it started at 10:30, so we had some time when we first woke up, and we were going to go out to the Cape again where the Russian lighthouse was. Mm-hmm. And on the way, we had a dusky thrush fly across the road.
Land on the wire right above us. We pull over, and like 4 or 5 more pop out. When all was said and done, we ended up with 8 dusky thrush. And I was like, oh, lifer! It's so cool. Yeah. So got some pretty good looks at this this thrush that I don't know why it's called dusky. I think its
color is.
It's maybe its back is what's dusky, because its face is like, it's got all sorts of interesting coloration on its chest and face. So I wouldn't think of it as dusky. I think of it as, it's like very thrushy almost.
Yeah. So we got back out to the lighthouse blind that we were at the day before and spent about another hour there. And the highlight on that one was the Stenninger Scoter. Yeah. That I like, we were sitting there looking, and I saw it off in the distance, and I was like, oh man, I'm never going to get Eric on that, especially because it was flying. It was like busting past. And then a few minutes later, you saw one.
Yeah. Going the other direction. So probably the same one.
Yeah. So yeah, we had that, which was awesome. We had common goldeneyes and mergansers and lots of gulls and guillemots. So a lot of the same kind of things that we were looking at before. Yeah. At that point, it was about time to go on the cruise. So we hustled on over to the port where the boat was taken off from. Mm-hmm. There was a pretty good sized group going out already. Yeah.
It's not as, so these aren't pelagic trips. They're nature cruises that stay relatively close to shore, but they're on like fishing boats.
Well, it went out to like around an island.
Yeah, there's some offshore islands that are like onshore basically. They're super close. But it's a fishing boat. Like literally these boats, when we got on, it kind of seemed like they went and dropped all their crab traps or fish traps or whatever, and dropped their lines out there. Came in, picked us up to take us on a trip, just in time for them to go back out and go check all their gear.
Their pots.
Like it was like, that's what it seemed like. Like the whole ship was, it smelled like fish. Like these are legitimate fishermen that were just fishing just moments before. So we get our briefing for what's going to happen for the day, and all load on to this little tiny boat, maybe 15 of us, 10 of us.
You didn't put a number.
I didn't put a number, but yeah, 10 or 15 birders. One guy that was a guide, that was the main guide for the boat, and then Koji was with us.
He was kind of funny, that main guy, because he was like, it looked like he was strapped to the front of the boat. Yeah. And he must have been cold because it was blowing.
He was wearing like 3 layers of gloves too.
Yeah, like I was really impressed. Yeah. He just stood on the bow and was like calling things out as we were going out. And I was just appreciating it all, because like the port was interesting. All these ports are really interesting because the walls are so high. Yeah. Of the surrounding landscape, and so you're like in like a bowl down at the port,
and then they build up big concrete structures to block to close that opening even farther.
Yeah.
So that it's just a very small opening going in and out. That way it doesn't.
Well, you have to like
big, huge
zigzag
waves.
around.
Zigzag around a bunch of stuff. And yeah.
Yeah, so we went through the port real quick. Had a couple hooper swans, black scoters, red-breast mergansers, slaty-back gulls, and then we went around that concrete block and out through the
Out
islands.
into the open ocean-ish.
Yeah, so we were out doing that for about 2 hours, and like I said, we went around these big islands that are just off of the shore, and our main goal, well, I mean, we didn't have any main goals. We wanted to see seabirds.
Seabirds, yeah. Seabirds is what we were looking for.
But we had 57 spectacled guillemots, 10
very
pigeon
close
guillemots.
looks at these guys. Like I thought the day before when we were at sea watching was going to be were good looks, but these were really good looks. They're super close. Like some of them in breeding plumage, some of them not, and it's just like very very obvious spectacled guillemots.
Yeah,
close up.
We had one common moor. We had Eric's lifer ancient murrelets.
Finally.
You didn't have him in the ABA yet, though.
Nope, not yet.
So I was still one up on ABA birds for him on that. And then we had 3 crested auglets, and that was kind of one of the goals that we wanted to see was crested auglets.
Yeah. Yeah, so lots of cool birds out there. The interesting thing, the captain was,
oh man,
so he every single time we would get close to a bird,
I would like get my binoculars up just to look at the bird, and then suddenly
he'd rev. It was like this pulsing revving of the engine, so it was like constantly like everyone like. He had to have been like watching it as everyone picked their hands up off the rail to look at something. He would rev the engine and we'd and we'd almost all fall over. It was just constant.
I don't know if he was doing that on purpose.
I doubt he was doing it on purpose.
It seemed like a practical joke.
It did seem like especially like halfway through when it was like literally every single time I picked up my camera.
I was laughing every time.
Yeah, because it was every single time. We still did get really good looks and stuff, but it was like every single time I'd pick up my camera to take a picture and I'm falling over.
Yeah, and it was a really nice ride. I mean, it was freezing.
Chilly.
Yeah, I was cold. But we got a lot of the birds that we were looking for, and it was fun to see like common murre there.
Yeah, that was interesting to see.
That's one of our local birds.
Yeah, and that was a bird that Koji was like really excited about because he's like, oh, we don't get them this early. He's like, I don't always get them every year.
Yeah, and a lot of the people on the boat were photographers, so they got some great pictures, and
lots of long-tailed ducks, breeding plumage long-tailed ducks hanging out, especially on the way back. We ran into a whole bunch of chunks of flocks of them as we're headed our way back.
Yeah, and the landscape itself, like these islands, are the same as the port. They have these really high,
big tall cliffs.
Yeah. So it was beautiful. It was a stunning boat trip, and it was nice and sunny, even though it was so cold.
Yeah.
So that was first little bit about our trip to Hokkaido, and we'll definitely be talking more about it. So stay tuned for our next one, where we'll talk about owls and eagles a little bit more.
Eagles and whatever else happened in Hokkaido.
Yeah.
So thank you guys all for listening to our podcast. We hope you enjoyed it and or learned something new. Please, please, please rate, review, and subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, Google Music, or anywhere else you listen to us. If you would like to connect with us on the socials, you can follow us at Hannah Goes Birding and Eric Goes Birding on Instagram. You can follow our Facebook page at Hannah and Eric Go Birding, Go Birding Podcast, whichever it's called at the time. You can also send us an email at hannahhandericgobirding@gmail.com, or you can check out our website at www.gobirdingpodcast.com. Tell us what you think and share the love of birding with your friends.